In 2023, Ferrari reported a profit margin of roughly 27% per car. That is higher than Apple, higher than Rolex, higher than almost any consumer product company on Earth. They did it without selling a single vehicle at a discount, not one. While other automakers offered cashback deals and 0% financing to move inventory, Ferrari did the opposite. They produced fewer cars than the market demanded, on purpose, every single year. This is not an accident, it is a strategy, one that was built over decades, protected at all costs, and nearly destroyed the company before it saved it. To understand why Ferrari never discounts, you have to go back to the beginning, back to a man who never cared about business at all. Enzo Ferrari founded his company in 1947 in Maranello, a small town in northern Italy. He was not an entrepreneur, he was a racing obsessive. Cars to him were machines built to win on the track. Everything else was secondary. In the early years, Ferrari sold road cars for one reason only, to fund the racing program. The customer was not the priority, the race was. This attitude shaped everything that came after. Through the 1950s and 1960s, Ferrari built a reputation that money could not easily manufacture. 14 Formula One Constructors' Championships, victories at Le Mans. A legacy written in exhaust and asphalt. But by the late 1960s, the company was in financial trouble. Racing was expensive. Production was inconsistent. Enzo was an artist, not an operator. The books were bleeding. In 1969, Fiat acquired a 50% stake in Ferrari. By 1988, that stake would grow to 90%. The company that Enzo built was now inside one of the largest automotive conglomerates in Europe. This is where the story gets complicated, because Fiat brought resources, but it also brought pressure. The pressure to scale, to grow, to sell more cars, and for a brief, dangerous window in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Ferrari listened. Production numbers climbed. Reportedly, Ferrari was producing close to 4,500 cars per year by the early 1990s. For context, that was more than double what they produce today. Then the recession hit. 1991, 1992, global luxury spending collapsed. Ferrari found itself with something it had never intended to have, inventory it could not sell. Dealerships across the United States and Europe were sitting on cars. The used Ferrari market was flooded. Prices dropped. Second-hand Ferraris were selling for less than their original retail price. The brand was losing the one thing that justified its entire existence, its mystique. When anyone can afford something, no one desires it the same way. Scarcity is not just a supply chain concept. It is a psychological trigger, and Ferrari had accidentally dismantled it. This was the crisis. Not just falling sales, not just a recession. The actual identity of the brand was under threat, and the people running the company knew it. The turning point came in the mid-1990s. Ferrari made a decision that defied every conventional business instinct. Instead of discounting to clear inventory, instead of running promotions, instead of making the car more accessible, they cut production. They reduced annual output to an estimated 3,500 cars by the mid-1990s. They told dealers there would be no price reductions. They would rather sell fewer cars than cheapen what the brand represented. This was an enormous gamble. Revenue would fall in the short term. Dealers would be frustrated. Analysts would question the strategy. But the leadership held the line. They also did something quietly brilliant. They began managing the waiting list as a strategic tool. Not every buyer who had money could simply walk in and purchase a Ferrari. You had to have a relationship with the brand, a history. Sometimes you had to wait years. Ferrari was not just selling cars. It was selling membership into a world that most people could never enter. The waiting list became the most powerful marketing tool in the automotive industry, and it cost nothing to run. The consequences of this strategy took years to materialize, but they were staggering. Through the 2000s and into the 2010s, Ferrari's pricing power grew with every passing year. When Ferrari finally went public on the New York Stock Exchange in October 2015, the market reacted with astonishment. The IPO valued the company at approximately $10 billion. Within years, that valuation would climb past $50 billion, then past $60 billion. For comparison, General Motors, a company that sells roughly 6 million vehicles per year, has frequently been valued at less than Ferrari, which sells fewer than 14,000 cars annually. Volume and value, it turns out, are not the same thing. By 2023, Ferrari's revenue was approximately 5.97 billion euros. Their adjusted EBITDA margin was among the highest of any manufacturer in any category. Each car they sold generated an estimated average revenue of over 380,000 euros. But here is the number that tells the full story. Ferrari's return on invested capital has consistently outperformed the broader luxury sector. They achieve this not through volume, not through cost-cutting, through absolute, unwavering price discipline. They have also extended this logic into their product line. Limited edition models like the LaFerrari and the SF90XX are not just cars. They are financial instruments. Buyers reportedly pay over list price on the secondary market almost immediately after purchase. Ferrari controls who gets access to these cars, prioritizing loyal, long-term customers. Ferrari has also taken legal and contractual steps to protect resale value. Buyers of limited models have historically signed agreements restricting early resale. The company actively monitors the secondary market. They are not passive observers of their own brand. They are its architects. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when global supply chains collapsed and luxury spending became uncertain, Ferrari did not flinch. They maintained pricing. They maintained the waiting list. And they emerged with demand stronger than before. In 2022, Ferrari raised prices across multiple model lines, not because costs had risen dramatically, because they could, because demand exceeded supply and supply was never going to close that gap. The lesson inside this story is singular and unforgiving. Discounting is not a sales strategy. It is a confession. It tells the market that your product is worth less than you claimed. And once you make that confession, you cannot easily take it back. Ferrari understood that the price of a car is inseparable from the identity of the brand. To cut the price is to cut the dream, and the dream is the only thing they are actually selling. The deepest luxury is not what you own, it is what others cannot have. Ferrari did not stumble onto this truth. They were forced into it, and then they never let go. Next week, we go inside the company that built a trillion-dollar empire by giving its core product away for free. Subscribe for more hidden empires.